Hey Tanya, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, Yas. How are you?
I am excellent. It's another dinner with the girls. I'm excited for another great episode and
Too.
slow cook comforts. I'm pretty excited to talk about that. So slow cook comforts is what's on the menu for today. And it's all about remaking slow cooked comfort foods to be nutritious and tasty.
Right? Who wants to eat anything that isn't tasty? And for me, I want to say I really don't want to eat anything that isn't nutritious. I mean, I don't always do, but those are two really good things, nutritious and tasty, right?
Well, that's what we're all here for, and that's what we're so passionate about. So here we go. So, you know what? Why don't I start us off? Because I feel like I picked a very classic slow cook comfort food. I picked a meat chili.
We both did. This is the chili day, right? It's the
oh shoot, my bad. I forgot. Amazing. Hey, so then we're doing chili, slow cook comfort food.
Okay, without further ado, please talk about
I will start because I feel like I've done it, you know, the classic, like kind of what's expected.
Yes.
And, you know, I actually wasn't really a big fan of chili in the past.
Okay.
But I got into it because you can make it healthy and you can batch cook it and you can add toppings that make it taste amazing.
Right.
So my meat recipe, of course, as I have been talking about over and over again, grass-fed meat, pasture-raised meat. So this one actually has two. It has grass-fed beef and pasture-raised pork, both ground. Because it kind of just adds, you know, a little flavor profile and I don't know, one's a little cheaper than the other. So that helps too.
Of course.
And this makes a big batch. So I do use a pound of each of those, but we put in a bunch of veggies and literally this makes multiple dinners for a family of 3 or 4 people. At least 3, 4 of those. So we are making a big batch. So kind of gives me that slow comfort feel. So how I made it healthier is obviously the grass-fed pasture-raised part, but we're not having meat as the main focus of the chili.
Okay.
Right? And you've talked about this many times that, you know, we need less meat. And so if we can have, because I know chili, you go to like Tim Hortons or something, it's meat.
There's like one kidney bean in there and maybe a piece of celery.
Right. And it's like, where is the other stuff that should be in there? And that's why I got into chilies, because I wanted those beans. I wanted to get into more fiber and finding a way to add that. So that's where, so there's a bunch of beans in here and you can kind of switch up the beans, you know, like I call them kidney beans and, you know, black beans, but you'll see in the picture that we shared of my dish, it's got some white kidney beans. So like you use whatever beans you have on hand. It's a great recipe for having like pantry items to kind of mix with the veggies. So, and the veggies are cut, like I'm taking a page from your book and cutting up mushrooms fine. Because then it kind of adds to the meaty texture, but then you don't know what's meat and what's mushroom.
Yeah, for sure. Right? The mushrooms are like chameleons.
Exactly. And then you're getting all that extra fiber and goodness in there. Or sometimes I do a little mix of like some mushrooms cut up, you know, so there's different texture.
Right.
I also like a chili with texture. And even hiding stuff in there. So I haven't gone as far as like putting broccoli in it. But definitely I put some kale in there or spinach. And I haven't actually put that in the recipe book, but you know, that you could jazz it up.
Of course.
And then the toppings. So today I've got some amazing vegan sour cream that is your recipe that I just can't stop talking about. It's so good. Some guacamole and of course cilantro. So those are my toppings. I'm gonna like make this all yummy and dig in. And then I want to hear about what your chili, how it's different.
No, for sure. And that looks amazing. And now I'm like, I ate all my sour cream.
And you know what? I did totally, before I let you talk about your thing, I almost totally forgot why I wanted to talk about meat chili.
Yes, please share.
So my bad. So
No.
this is pretty interesting. I want to talk about, and I've kind of talked about in the past, but I want to talk about again and try to make it really clear, is why I feel that grain-fed cows appear like they have diabetes.
Yeah, I love this.
You know, it looks like these animals have diabetes, and I have really concrete ways of like understanding that. So I want to like just present it here since we're talking about beef and grass-fed and all that. So it comes down to really two areas. It's the water content of the meat and the taste of the meat. Those are the ways that you know that these guys aren't healthy. So when you're cooking ground beef, a lot of the times people are very used to the ground beef being like this size, and then they cook it down and it's like this size. And, you know, it shrinks for some reason. And like all this water comes out. But when you cook grass-fed meat, it doesn't happen. And this is how I remember meat being as a kid. I don't remember meat always like going down to like half the size. So it is water that's coming out. These animals, when they're eating grains all the time, their bodies are full of water. Just like when we go and we change our diet, reduce our carbs, we lose water weight. Everybody knows we lose water weight. That's what's happening basically when you cook that beef down, is you're losing the water weight. And it's just very indicative of what was wrong with that animal's body. So then the other part is the taste. So we know that animals that have been fed grains taste sweet. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy. But you can tell the difference. And now that I've eaten, you know, grass-fed stuff for a while, I definitely can tell. Like it's quite noticeable. And when I switched to eating grass-fed, I noticed the difference in the taste. I was like, oh, it's kind of like a stronger taste, like a more meaty taste, almost a game meat taste. That if you think about animals that, you know, game meat, it means animals that run around the wild. So they're eating what they're supposed to eat.
They're supposed to.
And so the taste is similar. So how fascinating. So yeah. So I just wanted to share that little bit about why I think these animals have diabetes and why we probably shouldn't be eating them, because they just add to our sickness. That sick animal is adding to ours.
For sure. And it's funny when you commented that you don't remember that ground beef shrinking when you were young, because I know you talked about, you know, that what you guys would eat and whatever. Well, I do remember that, because we were just eating, you know what I mean, like conventional foods. My parents didn't know, we didn't know. And I remember making ground beef. I remember the lid and everything. And my mom would use a certain lid and she drained so much liquid. Some of it would be obviously grease, because fat comes out as well. But it wasn't all grease. It was so much. And she'd be like, oh, we can't put that down the drain because it's mixed with like fat. Like we have to let it like harden, whatever, put it in the garbage. It was a lot of liquid. And I have to say, I've never had the experience of having grass-fed meat that I know of. Like maybe, you know what I mean? Like it was never intentionally bought, because by the time I evolved on my health journey, I had become plant-based, right? So I believe it 1,000%. Well, I know it to be true. And also like people tell me the difference just like you. So it's crazy. It's one of the craziest things.
It is the craziest thing. When I really started to try to decide for myself, do I need to make this change to this different meat? And I really started to dive into the science behind it. Yeah. It's legit. And when you switch over and you feel the difference, you see the difference cooking, you can't deny it. There's a difference.
I agree. I fully agree. Well, dig into your beautiful chili. Like, again, what I was saying is I'm jealous of your sour cream. I don't have any, but that's okay. Normally I would. So I did a slow cooker chili in the slow cooker, very minimal prep. And again, my base, I'm really loving going to that base of tempeh, crumbled tempeh, because it absolutely crumbles like ground meat. I know I've talked about it before. And it really takes on the flavor that you put to it. Tempeh on its own is gross. It's bitter. It's literally a fermented soybean. But when you use it in a dish like a chili with all of the flavors that you can put in there, and then you slow cook it for hours, 5 hours, it's magical. It absorbs the taste.
Nice.
So like you, lots of beans. I do 3 different kinds of beans as well, but exactly, I welcome anybody to change the beans. Use what you have in your pantry. The point isn't the exact bean. It's, again, exactly the nutritional value we're getting from that and the texture that it adds to the chili. So I kept it very simple, 3 different kinds of beans. Definitely the tempeh in there is my main meat, product substitute, and just a flavor profile of spices. I think that's what's really important in a good chili. And then I know a lot of chilies call for like a can of like stewing tomatoes or like chunked tomatoes or whatever. I use, again, about cutting corners, but in this case, it's great to cut corners. I always use an organic salsa because you're getting the texture of the tomatoes, which is what you want. But someone else is giving you all the flavor profile. So it adds even more to my flavor profile. And again, let me stress, an organic, reputable salsa, because you don't want all the sodium and all the artificial flavors and crap. But like, I'm getting the flavor of the salsa. So it's 2 birds with 1 stone. Plus I'm adding more of my flavoring in there. Like, there's layers on top of layers in here. And big batch as well, just like your chili. And also my accompaniments, what I usually do, tonight I just felt like a warm bowl of chili. As you can see, like I'm in my cozies. It's cold, like it's cold out, and I don't love it, as you guys know. I don't love it, but it's okay. So I just felt like a big old bowl of chili. But like you, I have some shredded cheese on top of mine. This is plant-based cheese by Green Goddess. So I always like to have a little bit of cheese on mine because it's just goes with chili. You're just supposed to, in my opinion. Oh. And I like to use mine as nachos. This makes me so happy. So either we'll do a big pan of nachos and put the chili on top and then add your beautiful toppings after they come out of the oven, like the sour cream, the avocado, not cilantro for me, but in theory, cilantro, etc. Or if you don't feel like doing all that fancy and you still want a little bit of, extra coziness and a little extra, carbs, I'll use the, again, organic corn chips, because corn is dirty, guys, side note, and just do a little dip to dip sometimes. So no, I'm not going to eat like 50 of them and have my whole bowl. But when you get down to wanting to, a little bit of a crunch, and if I want less, I'll take 5 or 6 and crunch them on top. So then you have like that crunch that you want as well.
Nice.
And lastly, I've been using my chili. And I know it's not necessarily a winter thing for everybody, but I'm still a huge fan of salads. It's just what I like to eat, but I beef them up in the winter. Like, they're not just cold and whatever. I'll do like a taco salad, but with chili. So I'll get whatever greens I want. I won't make it piping hot, but I'll warm the chili up, put it on there. And again, add the fixings, add a bit more salsa, add a bit of sour cream, add some cheese on top, crumple the corn chips, and like just a way to add, nutrition and make different meals with chili. And it's funny because I think we're so similar, Yaz, because when you started and you prefaced before you started saying you didn't really like chili growing up, I feel like I would cry when my mom made chili. It was one of those meals when my mom made, I'll tell you right now, sorry, Mom, when she made salmon, like I wanted to die. I think I was always destined not to eat meat, but I didn't know it. So when she made salmon, when she made chili, and I feel there was another one, but it's not off the top of my head, but those are the 2 biggies. I felt like it was the end of the world. Like, I was like, how am I going to eat this atrocity? Like, this is horrible. And it wasn't, Mom. So sorry. But so to come that we love it now, it's pretty interesting. Because I feel like you're able to make it your own.
Yes.
The taste is there. The texture's there. And again, for where I am in my life, the nutrition's there.
Nutrition is there.
Food that you can feel good about.
Yes. And, I just want to add one last thing to what you just said there that is why I eat this chili is I know I'll feel good, blood sugar balanced, even my energy and mood, I won't be swinging in my insulin the next day. So it's just, and which means usually eating like a whole bunch of chocolate or something I shouldn't be eating. So Like it helps me stay in control of my food choices, and it tastes so darn good.
I agree. And then speaking of, before I take a bite, actually, I use a lot of tempeh. And again, I've talked about this before, but let me nutshell it again, because I really think it's important to talk about. Tempeh is fermented soybeans. Soy has a bad rep. So we think of soy, we think of estrogen dominance. I feel like some people don't even know. They're just like, nope, soy and my hormones, soy and, you know, everything it's associated with. But again, let's go back to the simple fact that this tempeh contains phytoestrogens. Okay, fact. What are phytoestrogens? Phytoestrogens are an estrogen-like compound that mimic the effect of estrogens. What does that mean, and why would we want it? People are thinking, well, we already have estrogen, so if we have phytoestrogens, we're going to have too much estrogen, and there we go. Remember, it's a lock and key. So we have our estrogen receptors in our body, and if we're having these healthier phytoestrogens, because the phytoestrogens mimic the good qualities of estrogens without the more harmful quality of other estrogens that we're getting in the environment and from pesticides and added hormones and antibiotics in certain meats. So we have a bunch of phytoestrogens in our body. We have a bunch of open receptors waiting. The phytoestrogen goes in, the receptor's like, thank you. Then all of a sudden I have a really strong estrogen coming in that can cause more, you know, bad things to happen to my body, you know, inflammation, et cetera, issues. We don't have to get into that. And it's spots taken. So the body, the liver has to conjugate it, package it, and then it goes away. And I think people think estrogen bad, but remember, it's a hormone and we need it. So we need estrogen in our body. Phytoestrogens help give us balance to a more positive estrogen with less negative side effects. So that's why I love tempeh. Tempeh is such a good food for that.
Oh, so, and on so many levels. Yes. So yes, agreed. Thank you for all that information and the ideas. And I look forward to trying your chili.
I would say I look forward to trying yours, but I do look forward to trying yours because we have different spice profiles and different flavor profiles, and I will use the tempeh in yours.
Yeah, you should check it out.
Of course, because it's, again, your meat is, you just said it's your accompaniment in this meal. It's not the main dish. I could probably even make yours without tempeh and be happy. So I will be trying yours as well, and I'll share with you like how it turns out, like with the tempeh, plant-based.
Amazing. I love it. Cool. All right.
So, okay, well, enjoy your big bowl of chili. I'm going to do the same. Keep warm, and until next time, I will see you soon.